We are going to do some Paso Doble today. I'm very excited. It's a fun dance. It's a strong dance, and it's one that we're all going to want to get a little better at. And it's a very popular dance, of course, because, well, it's not done socially, let's just put it that way, but it is an exciting dance. It's gripping, the music's full of drama, and it depicts, of course, the matador defeating a bull, hopefully in a bullfight. Now, the good news is, when we do the Paso Doble, remember, ladies, you're not the bull. You are the flamenco lady, or the cape, or the man's shadow. Men, you are the matador. So there's certain character depictions that occur depending on your choreography and depending on how that plays out as to how those roles develop. Now, those roles are going to be personified by the way that your body shapes, right? The way that you hold your arms, the way that you create a movement, and the way that you, of course, express your own timing, well, not timing, but the way you express your choreography. Now, let's get into this because I'm going to talk about 3 things today that are going to really help your Paso Doble. These are some of the important technical parts of the dance, including the posture, the walk, promenade and counter promenade shaping. So make sure you've got your body a little bit warm because you'll find that when we do Paso Doble, right, your body posture and positioning is going to be very different than, say, if you're setting up to do the rumba, you'll have a very strong posture so your body can settle and breathe and you can take your movement and your walks into things. Paso Doble is an entirely different setup. So let's begin. Let's start like this. From the very beginning, let's think about your posture coming from the character and shaping of the bullfight from Spain. The French created the dance, but they stole it from the Spaniards, essentially. And then it went back to Spain, of course, and it has always been from Spain in the sense that it comes from the bullfight. Now, when you're creating your posture, you must have this idea in your head, because one of the big problems people have in Paso is they create an arch. They lean back. And so we're not trying to do that. It's actually more about you being in a ring, imagining what the energy of that would be with your cape, and if you were to actually be leading the charge against the bull, you would want to have a very strong, borderline arrogant, not overconfident, exactly confident, because you know what you're doing. You want to win. And so you have to have this energy in posture, energy in your posture and your tone that shows that. Now, the timing, we'll come back to a little bit later, maybe in another episode. Let me know where you struggle the most, because I can help you with that. Now, let's go from here. We're going to start our posture going from, I like to build it from the bottom up. So if we start with our weight, the weight in Latin is always held over the balls of our feet. In Paso Doble, the hips, however, are actually going to come forward over the balls of the feet. Now, as that happens, the knees are slightly soft, very slightly soft, but the weight's in the balls of the feet. Hips are forward, and that's what actually creates the curve through the upper back. The shoulder blades are down and they're relaxed, so they sort of just hang. Okay, I want them to hang so my arms can be free to shape, so I can create lead, but that posture there then extends to my head, where my head is still over the balls of my feet. It isn't backwards, all right? So this is what people make as a mistake. So you're gonna need to feel that your stomach is, the belly button should be pulled to the spine, and that you're stretching up your abdomen, right from the bottom base of your thighs, right up through your abdomen, through the top of your chest. Imagine a bicycle chain running down the back and up the front, and you'll feel that you're creating a nice curve that is balanced by the knees, okay? Now, if you bend your knees too much, it's not gonna look good. So you bend it just enough so you can create the shape, and you notice that there's a gentle curve in my body. This is the Paso Doble posture. Now, in terms of the head, my chin is still level, so my chin will not go high. Like, you don't dance the Paso Doble like this. You see this on the competition floor sometimes. They're like, 1, 2, 3. It's like, what's so entertaining on the roof? You wouldn't do that if a bull was staring at you in the eyes. Like, if you were the bull, right? Like, you want to be there. You are really, you can see the curve, right? But you want to be right in line with it so you know that you're not going to die, okay? And so you wouldn't be looking at the sky. Let's just put it that way. So your headline is very normal, but your body is creating a feeling of pride, confidence, arrogance, ready to roll. The lady's shape is the same. However, because sometimes some of your movements, ladies, you're flamenco, you'll have a lot more time where you could be a soft cape, that sort of thing. So you create the curve just the same as the man. However, when you're doing your walks, when you're doing your movements, consider yourself a shadow to the man's movements, consider yourself challenging the man's movements. And so therefore, when you do a movement, it has to be in like response to what the man is doing for you or to you, if that makes sense. So with the posture in mind, and we're not leaning, so remember we're not leaning backwards, we now can commence our walk. I don't care what your choreography is, it doesn't matter who gave it to you, you have to maintain this posture throughout your choreography. If you can't do that, your choreography might be too advanced, too complicated, or you just haven't trained enough. I'm going to say it's probably a mixture of both. You need choreography that suits you, that also matches the phrasing of the music, but you also need to be able to train yourself to maintain that posture and that poise throughout like any step that you actually do, okay? And you should be able to come into it and come out of it, but your normalized steps always maintain this posture. You're not going to be normal day to day, okay? So let's look at the forward walk. This is part 2. The walk in Paso Doble. When you're going forward, all right, the difference in this dance, it's borderline similar to tango in a lot of ways. One of them is that you lift your feet off the floor when you do Paso Doble. So you're not actually, you will use, like all Latin dances, floor pressure, but you're not going to use floor pressure continually through the walk like you would in rumba, for example. So what we want to feel is that, let's take the right, we'll start with the left foot walk, okay? So I've got my posture, I've done all my checks, and I haven't talked about the arms for the moment, so we're just going to hold the arms here. Now with my left foot, it's going to peel off the floor, ball first. Then I want the pressure to increase in the left ball of foot because my right knee is slightly flexing. As that happens, I can then flick the foot just a little bit off the floor, land, heel flat. Now my weight is very important. As I do this walk, right, and I get it prepared again, boom, I want my weight to be where? Just before the heel. So think of the tango lesson I did last week. The 80-20 rule, your weight does not finish over the leg. This is incorrect. Your weight finishes behind the moving foot and it completes as you then commence the next Paso Doble walk. See how my weight stays in the middle? And so that is critically important to maintaining the shape and the character of the dance. So let's start again. So with the right foot, the right knee slightly flexes, my weight increases into the floor. My left foot prepares to walk. It lifts, flicks, places. And then I commence to transfer the weight as I commence the next step. So my right foot, I need to feel the ball of that foot has pressure. And then I can let it lick, flick, and place into that position again. Same idea. Boom. Now what you'll find is when you do these walks is that they're going to create a stalking feeling, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see that idea? 5, 6. Now why is this? Because if you were the bull, boom, I want to make sure that I've got my eyes on you, right? Like I am watching you the whole time. If I do any type of walk, whoom, I want to make sure I am in contact and I'm in control. So we're not just walking through the dance, okay? We're stalking every movement. We're in control of every movement. So that walk, if we look at it in Promenade, for example, which we're about to go to in terms of shape, so stay with me, consider yourself having done an appel. Well, you would maintain your Promenade shape, and then you would lift, flick, and you would place again. The weight would be behind the moving leg. Same idea. I would then walk through the movement, ready to then come around if we were doing a promenade shape. Okay, so that's the idea. You've got to practice your posture, practice your walks to get that normalized in your body, so you don't have to think about it as much when you're doing high-level steps or higher choreography. Now let's look at promenade and promenade shape. First of all, what is promenade? Let me know. Promenade is what? Promenade is a position of the feet, but in Latin, we also have position of the body, okay? So in ballroom dancing, a foot position is called promenade. So where our foot goes, our body follows. So we turn into promenade. The man is, his left side's going forward, the lady's right side opens out to form a V, okay? In Latin, we're allowed to do the same thing. However, we can also have a promenade shape, which means our upper body, if you notice now I've done a strong turn, I'll go this direction, a strong turn to the left. Now what would happen is anytime my body turns to the left, my arm line would be lower than my ribs, and my middle finger and my thumb would be holding the lady, and it would turn out. So the palms would face outwards. That's promenade shape. The right hand would be holding the lady's shoulder blade, or, depending on the promenade figure, wider. So top of the shoulder, for example, because you normally need that to create the shape. Okay? So that would be promenade. Feet are to the wall, but my upper body's turned strongly to the left. And you can see it creates a massive shaping action. Boom, then I'm ready to roll, right? So if I did counter promenade, well, it is literally the opposite. However, the arms change. So first of all, feet are to the wall, hips are forward. My upper body would shape to the right. That's the first thing. My arms wouldn't follow that. My left hand, though, would be above my head. So that would be my counter promenade shaping there, okay? Ready to then go off into the next movement, all right? So you'll notice that my arm line is still about normal, but my left arm comes up. So typically what happens in your upper body, the more that your body shifts from left to right, your arm changes. So if I'm left and my shape is there in promenade, okay, as I go to the right, my arm would come up. And that's a good rule to think about with your dancing. So if we were here and I was in my promenade shape, okay, ready to roll, as I then turn, my left arm will come up. That's without moving the feet. So what you would practice with this is you'll posture your walks, and then you would take your partner, and you would take hold, normal hold, and then you would do an appel into promenade position. The hand would turn, it would drop below shoulder, and then of course you would commence your walk. Flex the right knee just a little bit, pressure in the left ball of foot, flick, land, place. Remember, the weight is just in the middle, and then you're ready to commence your next walk into the desired figure. I hope this has helped. There's so much we can do in Paso Doble. I just recommend stretching out your body, practice your postural positions, practice doing Spanish lines, practice doing lots of lunges, practice hand movements like this, okay? And remember that when you dance, everything in Paso Doble has to have a lot of strength because there's an accent on every single beat of music, hence the dance having such a strength to it. Remember, above and beyond, you're a character, okay? You're playing a character. So maybe as a side note, give yourself a señorita or a señor name that helps you with developing a character for the dance, because you don't want to go on the floor as you are. You want to go on the floor as a, I don't know, Señor Enrique, ready to roll, right? And then as you go into that mindset, you practice all that technique again, and you want your body to be in that beautiful shape and that positioning. This is Vaughan. I really hope today that has helped you with those fundamentals for Paso Doble. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you need help with. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video where we help you further master the art of ballroom and Latin dancing.